Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 331 based on novel. So let's start. The next day, as the master of Soul Eater left Xiao Yang and Xiao Gui and others also left Xiao Yang for a while, the 10,000 Fire sect became empty for a while, and although Xiao Yang was difficult to adapt for a while, Xiao Yang was still able to get used to it. He is also aware of the heavy responsibilities on their shoulders. After hesitating for a while, there is no slack. He takes the time to cultivate and stabilize his own strength, because Xiao Yang knows that the next step is probably the most important part of the trip to the ghost world, but don't underestimate it. Now Xiao Yang's power. Xiao Yang is now in the middle stage of the 4-star Dou Yan. With the addition of the 4 attributes and various factors of the Holy Flame, if he exerts his full strength, he may not lose the combat power of some 4-star Dou Yan perfection level powerhouses. This kind of guy with terrifying combat power can be described as the well-deserved first person in the Earth Spirit Academy. And because Xiao Yang was so quiet, he was waiting for the news of Shenyang, because for some unknown reason, since returning to the 10,000 Fire sect, the undead leaves related to the undead fire in Xiao Yang's body and the undead ghost sparrow that was seriously injured. But it gave off a rather strange aura, as if smelling the traces of immortal fire, but it was impossible to determine it, which made Xiao Yang's heart quite hot. The second is to wait for the Lord of Soul Eater to leave the customs. When the second domain declares war, it is the end of his ghost world, and he must conquer the Holy Flame before that time. On the other side, among the Soul Devourer territory, some powerhouses were already ready to move, but unfortunately they were suppressed by Hao Enia by forceful means, and they became more and more familiar with Li Soul territory's defensive layout. It will become a glorious battle in the annals of ghosts. Queen. At the edge of Li Soul territory, I noticed some guys from the evil race from outside the territory. According to the information returned by the subordinates, they seem to belong to the light demon's subordinates. After a while, the inside of the ship branch was quite gorgeous. Inside the house, a man in black robe respectfully said to Hao Enia, "The power of light demons. The demon of light is among the evil races outside the territory, but it is a king-level powerhouse with extremely tyrannical combat power. I remember that this guy has a mysterious origin, and he doesn't seem to have any blood feud with Li Soul territory. This guy, what is the purpose of doing this? Go on, keep an eye on them, and report them immediately if they do anything," Hao Enia said with twinkling eyes. Yes. When the scout heard the words, his figure disappeared, and he went to the front line to inquire about the news. Light demon. What the is going on? Teacher, you will succeed this time. At the end of the sentence, Hao Niu slowly clenched the plate in front of his chest, closed her beautiful eyes gently, and prayed for him. It's just that no one found out. At the same time, a great power from the demon world finally came to Li Soul territory, and the task of looking for a human with Fen Ju seems to have come to an end. The other side. Among the 4 temples of the Lord of Li Soul. The shrine where the Lord of Li Soul lives is the core of the Li Soul domain. The energy of heaven and earth is profound, and it is guarded by countless powerhouses. The North Temple is the most powerful and even the largest in area, so it is the residence of the Lord of Li Soul. Place. Tell me, what's going on? At this time, outside the North Temple, in a rather solemn temple, in front of the temple with 4 white jade stone pillars reaching the sky, the black throne stood quietly. At this time, 3 figures suddenly appeared in front of the throne, but when these 3 figures appeared, in this hall, countless forces became quiet in an instant, as if welcoming the master of this world. If Xiao Yang was here, he would naturally recognize that among the 3, there were 2 people, Fang Hao, the master of the West Temple, and Kai Dai, the master of the South Temple, and the last one was a white-haired man. The old man looked calm, and the white beard was flowing down the stream, but his body was full of a mysterious aura. Uncle. The Chiju-inducing soul cup in the Earth Spirit Pagoda was robbed by the Lord of Soul Eater. Fang Hao shook his head and said, looking at the figure in front of him. His voice was full of remorse. It was obvious that he had volunteered to go there, guarding, but now it has fallen to such a point, which makes him the face of the dignified West Temple Hall Master, plummeting. Chiju Divine Soul Cup was robbed by the Lord of Soul Eater. That guy, Lord of Soul Eater, didn't fall. It seems that the last time the Master aggressively attacked the Soul Eater domain, there was still a lot of hidden dangers. At this time, the white-haired old man slowly stroked his beard and muttered. Originally, there was only a Soul Eater, but he was not our opponent. Besides, he was seriously injured, and his strength was not enough at his peak. We are both eager to make contributions, so Kai Dai on the side also said. Originally we were about to succeed, but it was the disciple of the Lord of Soul Eater, and now Hao Enaya, the acting domain Lord of Soul Eater, took action to save it. Hao Enaya's current strength is probably the same as your uncle. I am worried that this rescue is definitely not accidental. Uncle should let us report this matter to the master as soon as possible, so as to prepare early and prevent Soul Eater from doing anything weird thing. At the end of the sentence, Fang Hao's expression was full of seriousness. Uncle, the master of the North Temple, can say without hesitation that this guy holds the Li Hun Guard in his hands. He is the most trusted and tyrannical subordinate of the Master of the Soul, and countless things are left to him. It has even reached the late stage of the 8-star fighting immortals. Master has retreated. After a while, looking at the serious eyes of the two around him, Bo Laro also looked up at the endless void and muttered, "Shut up. Why is the master going to retreat at this time?" This. Kai Dai on the side couldn't help but wonder. Could it be related to the research in Soul Academy? The next moment Fang Hao's expression suddenly shrank, and he lost his voice. "Go on, the master has already expected these things, and I will handle them." After Shurenshi, the old man said helplessly, "Hey." The two heard the words, and immediately knew the seriousness of the matter, and now they can only leave, always vigilant about every move in Soul Eater domain. "Are you gone?" With the departure of the two powerhouses, on the hall, behind the black throne, a beautiful shadow slowly emerged, but on this shadow, countless grey thunders emerged, and the explosions of thunderbolts and thunderbolts exploded, ringing, as if embracing their queen. His Royal Highness, this time the master is in retreat, and Li Huanyu's life and death may depend on you. Looking at the supreme power in front of him, who was enough to make countless powers surrender, Bo Laro also spoke respectfully. "If things really come to the last step, I will take action." The woman surrounded by grey thunder heard the words and nodded lightly. But what the master meant was that Her Royal Highness, the princess, would obliterate all the powerhouses who had destroyed our soul realm. "The master believes that you have such strength." After a while, Uncle said hurriedly, "No. The master of Soul Eater is that guy's teacher. I'll take action. But that doesn't mean I'll help you kill them. Even if we don't have the chance to be together in this life, I don't want him to hate me. Otherwise, there is no need for the sky under my feet to exist." As soon as the voice fell, countless grey thunders exploded like a king of heaven and earth. Generally speaking, a deafening roaring sound is emitted, and the power contained in that sound actually makes the uncle who is as strong as the late stage of the 8-star Dozian feel fearful. Because of the slight fluctuations on this girl's body, it is different from the power that an 8-star fighting immortal powerhouse can possess. That is a reincarnation. Time passed by minute. In the Lingyuan, the two headmasters left for a while, and the dean of the Lingyuan was also forced to go out in person and temporarily replace the missing headmaster. In an instant, the status of the Lingyuan was even faintly overwhelmed. The momentum of the court. In the underground courtyard, the two headmasters were also very busy at this time. As for the mysterious two principals and deputy directors of the underground courtyard, they tried to go to the 4 major temples to ask for a meeting because of the matter of the Earth Spirit Pagoda. The Lord of Li Soul was temporarily left in the 4 temples of the Lord of Li Soul by the powerhouses of the 4 major temples. It seemed that something had happened. At the same time, the other 5 courtyards also performed the same way scene. Some tyrannical powerhouses, 6-star fighting immortals and even 7-star fighting immortals, including some masters of planes, suddenly gathered from the lower planes and the 5 courtyards towards the 4 temples. This time, it seems that the 4 masters of the 4 major temples issued a summoning order at the same time. For this reason, many powerful people in Lihuan territory were panicked. However, in the end, the master of the North Temple, Uncle, stood up and said that he called so many powerhouses just to hold a grand event. The purpose of convening so many strong men is to investigate whether they are practicing hard in their respective territories, and to worship Li Huanyu's birthday. However, although these various excuses have some basis, they are detected by some people with intentions. After some inferences, many people with discerning eyes know that something huge seems to be about to happen in Li Soul domain. Why are there so many strong men? At this time, the Earth Spirit domain, the Central domain, and the 10,000 Fire Sect. Sect Master Hua, what's the rush to do this early in the morning? Early in the morning, Xiao Yang just got up to prepare to practice, but was disturbed by Hua Yi's hurried voice. "Sir Xiao Yang, there is good news." Hua Yi ran out of breath for a while, came to Xiao Yang's room door, and hurriedly gasped. "What news?" Xiao Yang handed over a cup of tea and immediately asked in doubt. Xiao Yang is waiting for the news of Sheng Yang, and also waiting for the news of the Lord of Li Sol. No matter who has news of the two, Xiao Yang will take corresponding actions. The Central Territory Alliance issued an invitation, please go there. During the speech, a golden wooden sign appeared quietly on the palm of Huiyi's hand. In the golden wooden plaque, there is quite a tyrannical power, the golden light is tyrannical, and even a trace of the huge soul power that is shocking, suddenly emerged, and at a glance, it is known that it is from the hands of experts. Central Region Alliance. This is not an alliance built by the top forces in the entire Earth Spirit domain. It is said that their strength is enough to compete with the small half of the Spiritual Academy. It's the real hegemonic force in the Earth Spirit Academy. Xiao Yang couldn't help but wonder, but he didn't know whether it was a blessing or a curse to be targeted by such a force. This time, it is said to be about the news of Saint Flame. After blinking, Huiyi regained his steady breath and spoke cautiously. Holy Flame? How is that possible? Xiao Yang heard the words, and his body suddenly solidified in the air. Xiao Yang didn't mention the matter of Sheng Yang to Huiyi, but Huiyi knew it, and it was reasonable. After all, the fire attribute on this guy was not extraordinary. Sir, the matter of Sheng Yang is definitely not a child's play. Although our myriad fire sect has greatly increased its strength, it is still a little bit worse to compete with these top forces. And I heard that this time, the place where the holy flame came is quite strange. It seems to be in the center of the 5 major courtyards, so the outstanding disciples of the 5 major courtyards are all eyeing it. This should also be the reason why the Central Territory Alliance will find the adults. After all, the adults are now recognized as the #1 person in the entire Earth Spirit Academy. Huiyi said. In that case, let's go. Go to meet these so-called geniuses. Xiao Yang nodded immediately after hearing the words. Obviously, Huiyi made the powerful relationship clear for a while, and Xiao Yang also knew the deep and short of it. Do you need to take the strong people in our sect? There is a 4-star Doshian perfection level elder. Seeing Xiao Yang turn around and leave, Huiyi followed and asked. No, since we are going to discuss cooperation, we must show some sincerity. Just the two of us. Xiao Yang smiled. Okay. Hearing this, Huiyi also admired Xiao Yang's courage, and immediately explained some affairs within the sect. He took Xiao Yang, took the space passage, and headed out towards the core of the Central Territory. The core of the Central Territory is still the huge city called Tiancheng, and the Central Territory Alliance is composed of the top strengths of the 6 Central Territories. They live outside the city, on a steep mountain range. Whenever something major happens or needs to be discussed, the 6 forces will send representatives representing their respective forces to negotiate. Chichi's novels are first published on the whole network. That guy has actually successfully trained from the Earth Spirit Pagoda. At the edge of an elegant creek at the foot of the mountain, a woman emerged. Seeing her appearance, it was clear that she came from a distance and moved towards the top of the mountain. Go, he said in surprise. This guy, Xiao Yang also knows, she is one of the best in the courtyard, the disciple of Headmaster Ari Irene. Irene is talented and intelligent, and her cultivation is smooth sailing. Unfortunately, encountering the evil star Xiao Yang, Irene's mood has undergone a series of changes, and since the inexplicable loss to Xiao Yang, Ari Lina was in seclusion. After she came out of seclusion, her strength soared to the level of 4-star Doshian perfection. If she encounters Xiao Yang this time, she will try to find her last failure. However, just after she left the customs, the only 2 headmasters of the underground courtyard told her about Xiao Yang's experience of breaking through the Earth Spirit Pagoda. Become depressed. Although the 2 headmasters did not say that Xiao Yang had passed through several floors of the Earth Spirit Pagoda, Irene knew from their shocked expressions that Xiao Yang might have refreshed their understanding. Never mind. It's better to go to the Central Territory Alliance earlier. This time the Alliance gold sticker was issued, it should be for the sake of Sheng Yang. Now that the sacrificial ceremony is about to be held, the powerhouses in the 5 major courtyards have no intention to participate in the competition for the Holy Flame, so this time the competition for the Holy Flame will probably be the object of competition among countless disciples under the 5 major courtyards. After so many years, I am afraid that this time will be the most intense dispute among the 5 courtyards. As soon as the voice fell, Irene's figure flashed towards the top of the mountain at the same time, and at the same time, one after another figure also went away to the top of the mountain at the same time. On the top of the mountain, the magnificent buildings with extreme style are slowly displayed. Such buildings are quite luxurious, and there is a noble atmosphere between the lines, but only this kind of building can be called the entire Central Territory giant-like existence. The representatives of the 6 sects and Xiao Yang rushed to the top of the mountain at the same time, and the place suddenly became lively. Lord Xiao Yang, this meeting will be in front of you. Looking at the magnificent building on the top of the mountain, Huoyi said behind him. After speaking, his heart became hot. This mountain top is the core of the Central Territory, occupying countless heaven and earth energies, and it is a holy place for cultivation, and only the 6 super sects that make up the Central Territory Alliance can enter here. Entering here is not only a manifestation of strength, but also a proof of identity. Is this the destination? Xiao Yang raised his head slightly when he heard the words, and also smiled, but now this level of cultivation blessing land is obviously not very useful to himself. But at this time, Xiao Yang was obviously already on the mountain road. There were some flowers and trees around the mountain road. At this time, some strange voices came out from the grass, which attracted Xiao Yang's attention. The magnificent building was in front of him, but Xiao stood slightly on the mountainside, looking at the back, standing still. Sir. Huoyi just wanted to open his mouth to ask when he saw this, but he saw that not far behind, the leaves behind a pile of bushes trembled, as if there was something. After a good rest, a man slowly appeared. The man was dressed in plain clothes, but his whole body revealed a rather sharp aura. He had an eagle face and a small stature. It was rather strange, but that kind of aura made Huoyi unable to help it. The 4-star fighting immortal is complete. This seemingly strange man is actually a real 4-star Doshian perfectionist. Is this the famous Xiao Yang from the Myriad Fire sect? It is said to have defeated the 3 geniuses of Irene, Ling Yu, and Wen Yi in the courtyard. When I saw you today, it really is. The eagle-faced man just appeared, and suddenly he seemed to be familiar, and walked out of the grass gently. Right, Xiao Yang came, but the footsteps did not bring any dust. It was quite strange. There was a strange smile on the corner of his mouth, and there was a hint of irony in this smile. This guy's earth attribute power and aura seem a little familiar. Seeing this, Xiao Yang scrutinized slightly in his heart. As early as when he took the space tunnel to get here, Huoyi secretly told himself that there are 6 superpowers in the Central Territory Alliance and their characteristics, so although he has never fought against these guys, Xiao Yang already knows a lot. Information. The hawk-faced guy in front of him seems to be a disciple of one of the forces. Shi Chen, the eldest disciple of His Highness Shensha, it is said that he has practiced the art of controlling soil with one hand, and his strength has already reached the perfection of the 4-star fighting immortals. Seeing the man in front of him with such a tense attitude, Xiao Yang did not pay much attention to him, but turned his eyes lightly and said softly, "The Shensha Hall belongs to the top forces in the Central Territory, and it can be called the top forces because there are 5-star fighting immortals in the sect, so it can step into the top ranks. The Myriad Fire sect is obviously far from this level. A little bit. Brother Xiao Yang has good eyesight. However, there are still some doubts, so. Wan Shi Skull. After Shurenshi, the corners of Shi Chen's mouth became strange. Obviously, because they are superpowers, they can't interfere too much in the competition of the Earth Spirit Academy, so they have been practicing with peace of mind, and now they are praised by the outside world as Xiao Yang, the first person in the Earth Spirit Academy, was naturally unavoidable. Sir. Looking at the surrounding soil and rocks, they seemed to have life in an instant. Wrapping the 2 of them together, a strong breath permeated, and Huoyi said with a solemn expression. Today was originally a meeting of the superpowers to discuss the matter of Shenyang, but this Shi Chen actually came out like this, which Huoyi never expected. It's okay. Xiao Yang stretched out his hand, and said with a frenzied smile on the corner of his mouth. It happened that his strength had increased significantly during this period of time. Xiao Yang had not had time to find an opponent to test his combat power, but Shi Chen took the initiative to send it to the door, which surprised Xiao Yang. I have no intention of doing anything to you, but you must know that the top forces in our Central Territory don't even interfere with the Earth Spirit Academy, because our every move is their acquiescence. So you, the so-called first person in the Earth Spirit Academy, it's better to restrain yourself. After all, this is the core of the Central Territory. It's a dragon, you have to coil. Shi Chen was covered in khaki-colored rock armor, and said condescendingly to Xiao Yang, his warning was obvious. With his pride, he naturally wanted Xiao Yang to step on it completely, so that this guy could know that there are people outside of people, and there are heavens outside of heaven. If you want to say this, you're still not qualified. Xiao Yang stretched out his hand slowly, as if stretching his waist. After a while, a trace of extremely terrifying flames filled his pupils. The technique was cast, and the figure moved quickly like a ghost. You. When Shi Chen heard the words, His face became extremely ugly. No one had ever dared to speak to him like this. Originally, he just wanted to warn Xiao Yang, but now it seems that he wants to teach him a lesson. It's so fast. Seeing Xiao Yang so calm, Shi Chen's expression suddenly became vigilant, because Xiao Yang's current speed, even his 4-star Dozian perfection powerhouse can't see through. You must know that Xiao Yang can. It's just the midterm strength of the 4-star fighting immortal. The huge contrast in it suddenly made Shi Chen's pressure greatly increase. Imprisonment. The next moment, the strange earth attribute Do Qi around Shi Chen was injected into the soil and rocks, and countless forces rushed away against Xiao Yang's overwhelming attack. Squeak. With a sound, Xiao Yang's figure appeared in this void, but those clay rocks containing vitality lost their vitality in an instant, and the smell of burning on them was quite pungent. And even what happened at that moment, even Shi Chen himself didn't know at this time. Shi Chen, who was standing on the branch in the distance, his face became dignified, and the branch under his feet was instantly broken. He, brother Xiao Yang. There were so many offenses just now, please bear with me. Let's get into the seats as soon as possible, so as not to make others wait in a hurry. Let's take a step first. After speaking, Shi Chen waved his sleeves, the speed skyrocketed, and he fled towards the top of the mountain. My lord, there are old guys from their superpowers here. Seeing Xiao Yang so calm, Huoyi hurriedly said, because behind Xiao Yang's seemingly calm appearance, there was a monstrous killing intent. Forget it, let him go. Xiao Yang heard the words, the core of his body and the shadow behind him slowly calmed down. Otherwise, if this move was used, I am afraid that Shi Chen would not be far away today. With a sound, the void in front of this guy suddenly burned violently. The tyrannical flame power wrapped a trace of soul power, which actually made Shi Chen quite embarrassed. He came down and fell into the dust, his face was ashen, and he was quite embarrassed. Xiao Yang. Realizing that he was so ugly, Shi Chen's eyes became gloomy, and the 4-star Dozian aura of perfection emerged, roaring at Xiao Yang. If a dog bites someone, I won't bite back. Because you want to treat others in the same way as others. After Xiao Yang finished speaking, he didn't pay any attention to this guy, and walked straight into the mansion. Damn, I hope you can be so calm at the meeting, and you will look good in a while. After finishing speaking, Shi Chen slightly tidied up his face and entered the aura together. For a time, several tyrannical breaths burst out from the top of the mountain. In the main hall, inside the lobby, this is a beautifully decorated conference room. From top to bottom, there are a total of 17 seats. At this time, there are 5 people sitting on the 7 seats, only 2 people. Belated future. Why can't there be 2 of them yet? At this time, the man in the 5th seat couldn't help but glanced around and wondered. However, many of the figures in this place will be known to Xiao Yang at that time, because there are 3 of them, 3 of the 4 who had joined forces with Acacia before, plus Irene and a man with a rather strange figure. The figures of 5 people stood slowly. Among them, there are several people present. Meteor Gate, Hu Tianyuan. Ice and Fire House, Kong'an. Different Soul Q, Song Lanfeng. Water Spirit Palace, Irene. D Pavilion, Zhao Guang. There are 5 people in total, but the strength of these 5 people, the lowest is actually the 4-star Doshian perfection level. The Blood Flame Cave was originally one of the Central Territory alliances, but with the fall of Ling Yu, it was immediately replaced by the Xianxia Hall. The 6 major forces sent 6 representatives of the disciples, together with Xiao Yang, a 7-member conference of 7 sects, which was responsible for discussing this trip to St. Yang. Everyone, don't be impatient. At this time, a man with a calm face said, "This guy is Zhao Guang of the Earth Pavilion. This guy's strength can be said to be the real peak among a group of people, and the power behind him is even more like a giant. It's here." After a while, Erina stared at the door of the hall with beautiful eyes, and several hurried sounds of breaking wind emerged. "Since you're here, let's sit at the table." Glancing at Xiao Yang and Shi Chen, the man in the first place, Zhao Guang, said lightly. Xiao Yang and Shi Chen calmly entered the table. Everyone here is a representative of their respective forces. This time, everyone is called together. Why is it that everyone has heard some rumors, right? Seeing everyone gathered for a while, Zhao Guang slowly got up, his eyes were indifferent, took a look around, and said, "Brother Zhao, everyone is well aware of this meeting, so the news about Shenyang should be made public, right?" Hu Tianyuan from Meteor Sect couldn't help but ask when the first man spoke. Now, the powerhouses from the 5 major courtyards and many plains under Li Soul Territory are all facing the Li Soul Territory Temple. Therefore, in the 5 major courtyards, the dragons have no heads. Zhao Guang was unmoved and said slightly, "Hey. So that's the case." Xiao Yang heard the words and suddenly heaved a sigh of relief. After all, he was in the Earth Spirit Pagoda and had an affair with the Dean of the Earth Court and the 2 Temple Masters. In addition, they had an affair with Soul Eater. The Lord's hatred, Xiao Yang worried that they would send strong men to capture him and force out the trace of the Soul Eater. However, what made Xiao Yang feel strange was that after these high-level officials of Li Soul domain seemed to have left the temple of the Lord of Li Soul, they were gone forever, and Xiao Yang didn't notice any strange aura for a while. Otherwise, once they send out a strong man, Xiao Yang may be alone now, and the plan of the Soul Eater will probably be completely broken because of Xiao Yang. However, Hao Enya had obviously noticed this matter. Soon after she returned, she dispatched a strong team, led by an 8-star fighting immortal powerhouse, to attract the attention of the senior management of Li Huanyu. Only then did the senior management put Xiao Yang down temporarily. After all, even the Dean of the Grounds as strong as the 7-star fighting immortals cannot easily see the masters of the 4 major temples. In addition, the masters of the 4 major temples are now busy dealing with the discovered Soul Eater team, so they missed the ground. The 2 deans of the courtyard tried to report Xiao Yang's news, but when they could not see the 4 temple masters preparing to return to the Earth Spiritual Court, they were dispatched by the 4 temple masters and became the main force to destroy the soul-devouring domain team. Immediately, the arrest of Xiao Yang was staggered by such a coincidence. After all, Xiao Yang, who is a mere 4-star Dozian, and an 8-star Dozian, who is suspected of being a soul devourer, can know at a glance which is more important. What does this mean? Everyone was stunned when they heard the words, obviously not knowing why this guy said this. The birthplace of Holy Flame exists in the center of the 5-year-old courtyard, where Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is a real dangerous place. And now in the Earth Spiritual Academy, only the Dean of the Spiritual Academy is guarding it, so this time, the power of our Earth Spiritual Academy to compete for the Holy Flame is everyone here. And our competitors are the other 4 academies who belong to the 5 academies. Zhao Guang spoke slightly, his voice full of intriguing meaning. What about the other 4 courtyards? Several people whispered slightly. In the other 4 courtyards, the powerhouses are stronger than our Earth Spirit Institute, only not weaker, so this time, I hope everyone can show sincerity and jointly defend against other powerhouses. As for the final ownership of Shenyang, in the end, each of them depends on their abilities. Everyone, what do you think? The man's eyes swept over everyone's bodies as soon as he finished speaking. The strength of everyone here is almost at the level of 4-star Dozian perfection, and even a few people have reached the level of 5-star Dozian. I agree. I agree too. After Shun breathed, a group of figures said. Xiao Yang, what about you? Looking at the few people present, only 2 of them did not agree. One was Xiao Yang, and the other was Irene. The man asked. Cooperation is mutually beneficial, but this kind of cooperation doesn't seem to have any fairness at all. Xiao Yang heard the words and stood up slowly, his pupils filled with majestic fighting intent. The guy who presided over the meeting should have reached the level of the early stage of 5-star fighting immortals, but Xiao Yang was not afraid. This time, the Holy Flame is an immortal fire. Hearing Xiao Yang's question, the man's face was a little ugly, but the leader-like aura instantly gathered and he said, "It's actually an immortal fire." Xiao Yang heard the words and the heat in his pupils became even hotter. Immortal fire finally came to this world. Judging from the previous information of my teacher, the Lord of Soul Eater, Undying Fire and Acacia Heartbroken should be controlled by the Lord of Li Soul, but why did this guy abandon Undying Fire? Is there any fraud in this? Or, is this immortal fire just a bait for the Lord of Souls, whose purpose is to draw out the powerhouses in the soul-devouring domain? Don't doubt, this undead fire really exists, because it was discovered by the Master of Soul Li himself. What the Lord of the Soul said, naturally there will be no falsehood. Zhao Guang said with a smile, looking at everyone's puzzled expressions. Since it was discovered by Lord Li Soul himself, there shouldn't be a problem. In addition to the resonance of the undead leaves and other powers in my body, I am afraid that Undying Fire was really abandoned by Lord Li Soul, but he did it for the purpose of doing so. Why? Is it really as the teacher said, this guy wants to use the help of Acacia broken enteric inflammation to try to take that crucial step? Xiao Yang's heart quickly turned. Ever since he left the acacia tree, Xiao Yang knew that the mystery of Acacia broken enteric inflammation was among the most mysterious types of holy flames in Christmas. If the Lord of Li Soul was so willing, I am afraid there was some way to give it to the holy flames. The most mysterious power in the flames, and once it is swallowed by the Master of Li Soul, Mu Yingying's resurrection will probably become a fantasy. Do you still have any questions? If there is no doubt, it is not too late. We will leave tomorrow and go to the place where the holy flames come to discuss in the long run. After speaking, the meeting slowly dissipated, and everyone went back to prepare. The next day, the scorching sun scorched the heart, and the sun was scattered vertically. Lord Xiao Yang. Since the meeting ended, Xiao Yang and the two were returning to the 10,000 Fire sect. At this time, the sect meeting hall was filled with a core group of high-level executives. Today, I will go to the land of Holy Flame. After a while, Xiao Yang got up and smiled at the familiar powerhouse all over his body. These guys, now the strength has also reached the mid-level of the late 4-star Dozian. If you step into the 5-star Dozian, you can also become a strong force under your own. In the future, you will return to Do-D continent. Xian Santian will use these strengths. Handing it over to Kaylin, Xiao Yang believed that a powerful sect force would be born. Sir, this time the news of the land of holy flames has been known all over the city. I don't know how many strong people in our sect are going to be brought there. The elder Huayun heard the words and asked slowly. The senior members of the fire sect had already surrendered to Xiao Yang wholeheartedly. The land of holy flame is more fortunate and less fortunate. That's why I plan to not bring one soldier or one soldier. Seeing the fiery gazes of so many powerhouses present, Xiao Yang said after thinking for a while. What? Everyone was shocked when they heard the words. Perhaps in a short while, I will leave the ghost world and return to the Do-D continent. On the Do-D continent, there are many enemies of mine. Suddenly, Xiao Yang opened his mouth, and there was a hint of oppression in his voice. Sir, I'll wait, I'm willing to follow Xiao Yang to the death. Hearing Xiao Yang's actions, the top executives also sensed Xiao Yang's intentions, and hurriedly said, their voices were filled with yearning. In the 10,000 Fire sect, most of the strong people are human bodies. Although the ghost world is full of energy, it is not a place for them to live after all, and the Do-D continent will undoubtedly be an excellent place. Okay. These days when I went to the land of Holy Flame, I was bothering Sect Master Hua to check the size of the sect. If you can't take it away, just give it up. Xiao Yang said. My subordinates take orders. Hua Yi laughed when he heard the words. I'm sorry everyone, farewell. Xiao Yang laughed loudly, his voice trembled, and walked directly towards the land of Holy Flames. Sect Master. We are finally able to return to the human realm, which is gratifying. As Xiao Yang left, a group of senior executives laughed in tears. I ordered to go down and do some sect wealth, martial arts, fighting skills, and take all that can be taken away. At the same time, I will send a strong person to communicate with the Dean of the Spiritual Academy. I believe that because of the relationship with Sir Xiao Yang, he will not embarrass us. And I don't know why, I always feel that this guy will cause a real frenzy in the future. As soon as he finished speaking, orders were issued in an orderly manner. When the forces returned to Do-D continent, it turned out to cause a turbulent battle. That war covered the sky and the sun, and even in the end, Xiao Yang's prestige was secretly spread throughout the world, thus establishing Xiao Yang's hegemony. Such a position, the endless fire territory, also came from this. At the same time, the other 6 sect powerhouses in the Earth Spirit Academy left facing the Holy Flameland for a while. In other places, the 4th of the 5 courtyards also staged such a scene. After all, the attraction of the immortal fire to everyone is too great, and there is no interference from the powerhouses of the 5 major courtyards. This will be hundreds of years. The most intense collision between the younger generation of the hospital. The Senate, this is a special force that directly controls the affairs of the Li Sol domain, but now with the news sent by the 4 major temple masters, some of the elders of the Senate have been summoned one after another. Usually they are mainly based on traveling around the world, which leads them to accept some human beings who have contact with their talents as disciples and bring them back to the Senate. However, the Senate has the smallest number of disciples among the 5 major courtyards. I am afraid that today's disciples the number is no more than the number of hands. Teacher. In a quiet elegant house, a white-haired old man stood quietly, and in front of him was a handsome man. The delicate man's body was full of subtle fluctuations, and his delicacy, even his breath, was also vaguely possessed. 5-star. Fonga, this time on the trip to the Undying Fire, you will go to the Senate alone, is there any problem? As for whether you can get it, it depends on your fortune. The old man asked with sleepy eyes. Disciple leads the order. The handsome man was overjoyed when he heard the words, and then immediately smiled with his fists clasped. Let's go now. The next moment, the old man slapped the disciple and sent the disciple directly into the space passage, heading towards the land of holy flames. Soul House. The Soul Academy is rather peculiar, because the research site of the Soul Academy is basically a dark space hundreds of meters below the ground, and there are only soul bodies in the Soul Academy, and there are no humans. Master, we are now. In the quiet black hall, two women stood slowly. The woman's voice was hoarse, and said softly. The woman looks ordinary, with long hair and plain clothes, but her soul power is comparable to that of Xiao Yan. The things that our Soul Academy is studying has been stolen by the Master of the Soul. This bastard originally promised me that as long as we figure out that method, we will refine the body for us and restore the human body. Unfortunately, in the end, he unbelievable. However, the Lord of Li Soul has forgotten. Although that method is extremely against the sky, it is not complete, and I have left behind. Yua, remember, if Lord Li Soul really uses that method in the end, we must make him pay the price. As the voice fell, bursts of madness suddenly appeared in the woman's pupils. This woman, but now the Dean of the Soul Academy, although her strength is only at the level of 7-star fighting immortals, she is better than the tyrannical power of the soul, and there is a steady stream of test items sent here for their research, but unfortunately, in the final stage of studying the soul body swallowing the holy flame, although the method was successfully researched, there were traitors among the core staff, and they directly notified the Master of the Soul, and at the moment of success, all the personnel who studied this project, all of them were wiped out by the mysterious powerhouse. If it wasn't for her stunts, I'm afraid she would have completely fallen on the mysterious powerhouse. And that mysterious powerhouse is tyrannical and can freely enter and leave the Soul Academy under countless guards. I am afraid that the entire Li Soul domain is only the Lord of Li Soul, and among those who have fallen, there is the husband of the director of the Soul Academy. The son-in-law also has Yua's younger sister, and Yua is the apprentice of the Dean of the Soul Academy, so the resentment of the two towards the Master of Li Soul is extremely high. Therefore, for a while, the two are slowly brewing some extreme methods. Before that, go to the land of holy flames. If you can get the undead fire and use that method to seriously injure the Lord of the Soul, you will have a faint hope that you can devour 2 holy flames. The lifelong power will be taught to you, so that you can reach the 8-star realm. The corner of the Dean's mouth became weird. Only she knows this secret. I have studied countless projects in the Soul Academy for so many years, but among them, the Soul Master only knows the project of swallowing the holy flame by the soul body. Not long ago, I had a look, but unfortunately, in the Soul Academy, the core personnel responsible for researching these projects are only myself. The disciple takes orders. We won't fall easily before the Lord of Li Soul falls. Yuer's expression became gloomy, and the figure disappeared like a ghost, heading towards the land of holy flames. This video will end here.